All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well. So, folks, remember the pitiful, litigious rat, convicted sex offender Nicholas Alaverdian, also went by Nicholas Rossi and 10 other aliases, but for the past 5 years has pretended to be an unhealthy Scottish orphan named Arthur Knight. Remember this guy? I am Arthur Knight. Why does no one believe me? My wife can't even walk down the pavement to grab a pint of milk. Well, folks, he is back on U.S. soil. What a time to be alive. It took half a decade of slogging through the Scottish court system. It took 2 years to officially verify his identity. All right, this is in fact Nicholas Alaverdian or Nicholas Rossi, the man that is wanted for a 2008 rape charge in Utah. And this is not an unhealthy Scottish orphan named Arthur Knight. That is just very stupid. And then it took another 2 years to go through the extradition process. Alaverdian is delaying and appealing everything to the absolute max. That's all of those ridiculous scenes where he shows up to court in his giant motorized wheelchair, which a doctor has said he doesn't need that. His legs are fine and young and good. I don't know, but he shows up in a huge motorized wheelchair with a little joystick, and he zooms and vrooms around, and he wears the oxygen mask, which doctors have also said there's no medical reason he needs the oxygen mask, and he spits and wheezes in it, and it just looks absolutely ridiculous. He makes it as much of a pain to deal with him, the big giant wheelchair, the oxygen mask, all the problems. He'll tip over. He just tries to make it a total mess to try to deal with them. It's one of his strategies. And finally, the extradition process is over. And a week or two ago, they flew this man and his giant wheelchair and oxygen mask to Utah. And he's currently sitting in the Utah County Jail. He appeared once in court, and it was a total clown show. Exactly what you would think from Alaverdian. Totally ridiculous. I don't think the judge or the justice system, they'll quickly learn, but I don't think they knew for that first appearance, they knew what they were dealing with Alaverdian. I think it was one of those things where the judge is just seeing person after person, and it's going really fast. So we're going to watch that first appearance together. It's only 5 minutes, but it could be summed up with the judge going, okay, sir, can you please state your full name and date of birth? And Alaverdian is appearing remotely from the county jail on a little screen at the top, and he goes, yeah, we're having a really hard time hearing. Sir, could you just please state your name a little bit louder and your date of birth? Yeah, we really just can't hear at all. Is there anything that we. And then finally, after a full minute and a half, he goes, I am Arthur Knight. And the way he said it, it gave me the feeling, oh no, this whole thing is a Nancy Brophy novel. Damn it, the wrong Arthur. I knew it, man. And he just and finally the prosecutor, as we'll see, she kind of is like, Your Honor, it's me, the prosecutor. This is like what he does. This isn't. And Alaverdian goes, that is complete hearsay, my lady. He's calling the judge my lady like they do in Scotland. And he said his fake date of birth the way they do it in the UK, and he's really clinging on, and he looks beyond terrible. He's purposely, I think, got himself as fat and ugly as possible to try to get out of this whole thing. And finally they go, all right, well, we'll order fingerprints. Have they taken his fingerprints? All right, we'll make sure they take his fingerprints so we can verify this identity. He's got all these aliases. And then he was supposed to appear in court again a couple days ago on Tuesday of this week, and he flat out refused. So he's already playing Darrell Brooks type games. And so his new judge that he was appointed to said, okay, we'll bump the one he refused to go to until February 6th, but unless he's actually sick, we're going to use reasonable force to make sure he gets in there. And then he also has a detention hearing today on Friday, I think, as we speak. So I'm very interested to see, after I get done recording this, did he show up? How did that one go? I feel like the judges and everybody in Utah are going to figure out what they're dealing with very quickly and have to adjust and grit their teeth and just get through this one the way they had to do with Darrell Brooks. Before we watch that first 5-minute funny court appearance where he's going, "My lady, I am Arthur Knight," I quickly want to just set it up because this one is truly one for the books. And the journey back to Utah is mind-boggling. So remember, it's like 2018 or 19. In Utah, they had a big back pile of either rape kits or rape cases that hadn't been given the attention they deserve, the investigation that they need, and they started going through the backlog, and one of the DNAs hits for Nicholas Alaverdian right at that same time. So the heat's closing in on that old rape charge from Utah. At the same time, he's wanted for a whole mess of credit card frauds. He was an absolutely depraved domestic violence committer. I don't even know what the word is. And they also wanted him in Rhode Island for not registering as a sex offender. So as the walls are closing in, he realizes that just getting another alias and marrying another wholesome, naive woman to try to hide that way, all of that is being exhausted. So his plan is use one of the aliases and flee to Scotland, which he does. When he gets to Scotland, he calls up, he was an intern at the Rhode Island state politics, so he calls a couple Rhode Island politicians to give them disinformation, and he said, "Yes, it's me, Nicholas Alaverdian, and sadly I have lymphoma and I am going to die. So spread the word, just make sure to tell everybody around there that I am in fact going to die from lymphoma. Horrible, horrible news." And one of the Rhode Island politics goes, "Nick, you're not going to die. You're a cockroach, and cockroaches never die. You're on the hook here for rape and all this stuff I'm seeing. What are you doing?" And he's going, "No, I'm going to die. I have lymphoma. I have these kids that I'm going to leave." And the Rhode Island politician is like, "There wasn't even time to have kids from when you left. What are you talking about, Nick?" "Oh, I have to go. I'm tired from my lymphoma." And so after he calls and gives the disinformation that he's sick and dying, he actually faked his own death. And this is where he put out, this is probably my favorite part of the whole thing, he put out a self-written obituary with the news that Nicholas Alaverdian, the person, coincidentally, that's wanted for rape in Utah, has died. Sorry. So there's no reason to continue looking in to any of that because that guy is gone. And he puts out the hilarious obituary where he says, this is my favorite part, "At the bedside were Mrs. Alaverdian, their 2 children, and extended family." None of those people exist. His last words were, "Fear not and run towards the bliss of the sun." At the time of his passing, the room was filled with the sounds of the end credits for the 1997 film Contact by composer Alan Silvestri, a film and score which held special meaning for Mr. Alaverdian. I've worked myself into hysterics thinking about Nicholas Alaverdian deciding, like, okay, I need a new identity. The rapist, domestic violence committer, that guy, no, I don't want to be that guy anymore. I am past that guy. Now I live in Scotland. I need a new life. And him going from Nicholas Alaverdian to I am Arthur Knight. And then picturing him now as pretending to be Arthur Knight. Hey, I'm Arthur Knight, writing the obituary for Nicholas Alaverdian and coming up with "Fear not and run towards the bliss of the sun." It's one of those things that if you sit there and think about it for a little bit, at a certain point, something clicks and it just becomes so funny. The fear not and run towards the bliss of the sun is just wannabe profound nothingness, and it really is probably one of my favorite parts. So he tries to fake his own death, puts out the hilarious obituary, but then there's a big step in him coming very close to getting away with the whole thing and disappearing in Scotland because he meets a woman, Miranda Knight, and they get married. So he's able to change his name. I don't know what the citizenship path is in Scotland, but I assume if you marry a citizen, there is a path, and I think that he was very close. He gets this new wife, gets the name changed. She's going to take care of him. She's got money. She's got a place in Scotland. He probably came pretty close to disappearing, but then in 2020, he got a horrible case of COVID, had to go to the hospital, told the staff at the hospital, "I am Arthur Knight, the sad orphan from Scotland." And they were like, "Really? That story sounds a little bit stupid." Well, the COVID gets worse. He goes into a coma. They have him on a ventilator. While he's on a ventilator, they're researching internationally wanted people, rapists, and wait a second. This Nicholas Alaverdi, oh my gosh, the tattoos, they match, and they matched him while he was in a coma with COVID on a ventilator. I'm sure he wished he would have just died right there with COVID in the Glasgow hospital. But he wakes up, they arrest him, unbelievable, and then it kicks off the 4 years slow process where they verified his name officially, and then the slow process of extradition, and now after all of that, this man is back on U.S. soil, sitting in the county jail in Utah. Let's watch the first court appearance. But before we do, I was thinking, the first video I did 6 months ago about this whole story, I think I made a pretty convincing point that Nicholas Alaverdian is the most pathetic person in the world. Not exaggerating to be funny, the one. And I think, just thinking about it over the past months, who I have as number 2, the top contender, is Chandler Halderson. And I was thinking, now that Nicholas Alaverdian is back in the States, maybe they could do like a pathetic off or something, raise money for a fundraiser. I could be the announcer. I've been practicing. Like, picture this. Packed, drunk, bloodthirsty crowd. They're both in a boxing ring. One's on this side, one's in this side, and I'm the announcer. It's time for the main pathetic event. In the red corner, we have Nicholas Alaverdian. Nicholas is a convicted sex offender and is currently on trial for rape. For the past 5 years, he's pretended to be a fat, unhealthy, ugly, paralyzed Scottish orphan named Arthur Knight. He sued the victim of his sexual assault twice and her boyfriend once. There is no depth to what he will do to reduce himself. Nicholas, the pathetic, litigious rat Alaverdian. And from his wheelchair, he pumps his arms to deafening boos. In the red corner, we have Chandler Halderson. Chandler murdered his own parents and tried to cremate them in the small family fireplace with predictably ghastly results. He lied about everything to a truly unspeakable degree, including getting a job at SpaceX. How he got out of the lie at SpaceX is he faked a fall down the stairs, which he claims left him with weak legs and a slow mind. At the end, he didn't have 50 cents to his name to buy a bag of chips. Chandler Weak Legs Halderson. And he stands there and goes, "What?" Kind of just looking confused and a little bit uneasy on his weak legs. I think it could be good. I think it could raise money for some charity, but let's watch the 5-minute clown show first appearance from Nicholas Alaverdian. Again, like I said, he was supposed to appear today for a detention hearing. I can't wait to see what the hell happened with that one, but I'm going to flip you around. Let's watch it. All right, here we go. Nicholas Rossi slash Alaverdian's first court appearance after being in Scotland for 5 years. Here we go.
Number 36, State versus Rossi.
So he's going to appear up here in this little square.
6'7", 6'8".
He looks beyond
Are you Mr. Rossi?
terrible.
Are you Mr. Rossi?
He's saying, "No, my lady," but she can't hear him. And this bailiff or whatever is going, "I think you might have to take your oxygen mask off."
Is that a yes? I'm having a hard time. I think I'm going to have the jail restate what he said. I'm having a really hard time hearing him.
My name is Alden.
I don't know if you can hear it. The audio is pretty bad, but he's going very quietly. "My name is Arthur Knight." But here we are, 43 seconds in, and they still haven't gotten what his name is. You can tell this guy's going, "What the hell is going on?"
His name is Arthur Knight. Brown?
Alden Knight.
I can't hear. You want to have him state his name and date of
Yeah, we can't hear him at all. Can you ask him, can you please state your name and date of birth?
You get a little closer.
Lady, my name is Arthur Knight Brown. My date of birth is 22nd of the 11th, 1986.
So he said the 27th of 11th, 1986. Apparently that's how they do it in the UK.
Okay,
I think we're having a problem with understanding who this person is.
So this guy's going, "I think we're having a problem knowing who this guy is." And this is exactly what Nicholas Alaverdian wanted. He just wants to delay and to go into the never-ending Alaverdian vortex to hell.
this is not number 36.
Your Honor, we've got him as Nicholas Rossi,
I mean, how absurd is this whole thing?
but he's saying his name is Arthur Knight. Brown?
No, that's
So finally the bailiff is saying, no, he is in officially as Rossi, but he just is saying he's Arthur Knight.
one of the AKAs.
So then now the judge realizes, okay, that Arthur Knight is on one in the long list of AKAs that he has.
What's your birthday?
We're having a really
So here now the prosecution is like, all right, these people need help. I'm going to tell them what's going on.
Is it July 11th, 1987?
No, my lady, it's 22nd of November, 1986.
No, my lady.
22nd of November, 1986.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, Tamara Vasquez for the state. This individual has been extradited, and he has not admitted his name or birth date accurately, and so I don't think we're going to be successful on that today either. It's also known.
So she's basically saying, I don't think we're going to get him today. It's been years. There's no way today he's going to admit that he's Alaverdian. With the birthday, it's probably a wasted time to try to get him to say it.
Yes.
This is my favorite part too. Alaverdian from up here goes, "That is complete hearsay, my lady."
Objection, my lady. That is complete hearsay, and I would ask your ladyship that the prosecution should cause.
He wants to ask her ladyship what about the prosecution, and then he just mumbles and says Supreme Court, and then the judge just, while he's mumbling, just takes over.
For why they proceeded to allow.
She's like, all right, well, you can talk. You're just mumbling and stammering like a moron, so we'll just move on.
Mr. Knight?
Now he's being called Mr.
I'm
Knight.
going,
What a circus.
Appeal pending in the Supreme Court.
Mr. Knight, I'm going to appoint a lawyer for you. there's a no bail warrant in this case, so we're gonna set it for a detention hearing in 10 days. And I'm also ordering that you not
So that detention hearing is supposed to be today. We'll see if he wins.
have any contact.
And if we can have the alleged victim's name protected,
Oh, okay.
yes,
Well, how is he supposed to know who not to have any contact with?
we're going to have to get the no contact order form given to him personally.
Okay.
Hopefully they realize quick that having him appear remotely in the little screen is just not going to work, and that allows him to stammer and be even harder to hear and draw out the whole thing. This is going to be one they are going to need to get him in there. I'm also curious, at what point do they have to keep playing along with the oxygen mask and the weak legs that don't work? At a certain point, can they just say, hey, sorry, pal? No? Kind of interesting, but here we go.
All right. So I am ordering that you not have any contact with the person.
He's trying
who's
to
going
interrupt her.
remain confidential until you get a copy of the no contact order. So hopefully that makes sense. And when you get the order, you can see who it is. I'm also ordering that you be given a copy of your charge. It is a first degree felony from November 1st, 2008.
Yes.
From November 1st, 2008. So you'll get a copy of that. Your next hearing will be in front of Judge Lawrence. January 26th, 1 o'clock, Judge Lawrence, and that will be a detention hearing.
Your Honor, before we go, would the court ask the bailiff if the defendant has been fingerprinted and photographed as part of being booked?
So there, all right, let's not mess around with this stupid identity question. Has he been photographed? Which I assume he has because he's a registered sex offender. So if there's anything that was accomplished on this first ridiculous little hearing, it's just let's get him fingerprinted so we don't have to do this on the next one.
Under this OTN number?
I'm not sure, but if the court will, send notification to our records department, they can follow up, make sure it's been done.
Okay, I will make that order.
Lady,
I am ordering that
Oh, this is a funny part too. So the judge starts to end the whole thing. The prosecutor even starts to walk away, and Nicholas is going, wait, I have one more thing.
he be fingerprinted and photographed.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Knight, we're finished.
I am
Look, prosecutor's leaving. She said we're finished, and he's stammering away still.
Lance Bastian.
Okay, well, your attorney can show up at the next.
He goes, I have an attorney. And hilariously, she goes, well, your attorney can show up at the next hearing.
He wasn't.
And then we'll vacate the appointment of a legal defender.
We haven't been notified of any hearing.
The last thing he says, his lawyer and him have not been notified about any hearing, but there he is, folks, the man himself, the litigious rat, Nicholas Alaverdian. I can't wait to see how this whole thing plays out. I'm going to cut it off there. Why, Steven, why, Shamida.